pretties, welcome to Vipster. So today I have lipstick in my keys. Thank God I caught it. Whoa. So today we're going to be doing the 21 question tag created by Ali Glines. I think I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. But yes, I'm going to leave her down below. Please check her out. She's really awesome. She's created some amazing tags like the eyeshadow tag, a palette tag, along with like Samantha March, along with others. And she's just really nice. There's something about her voice that it's so soothing. I know that might seem strange, but I always, when I think of her, I always think of her voice and her very nice plump lips. Is that weird? Tell me if you think that's weird. But anyway, we're doing the 21 question tag. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to become a resident of Vipster. And let's get started. So, what is the oldest makeup product in your collection? This is going to be probably my longest answer, and that's because in my makeup spreadsheet, I only have it by year, so I don't know what my oldest item is per se. I just know all the items that I have from 2017. From eyeshadow, I have all these Super Shock shadows right here. These really need to go. Sorry, I think I just sneezed. It went away. I have this one single shadow that I depotted from the Tarteist Pro palette, and I ended up actually panning that palette. I didn't actually finish the entire palette, but all the shades that I wanted to finish I did, and I ended up throwing away the rest. I also have these three shadows right here, and then there's another shadow that's out of luck. Looks like a cream pinky shade. It actually came in this little quad right here from Colourpop. But I ended up taking it out of this thing right here. I still have a palette. It's a nice little magnetic palette, but those shades, I have this highlighter from 2017, and I have two lip products. One is Juicy from Bare Minerals. I actually think this might be 2018, but my spreadsheet says 2017, so I'm gonna go off of that. And then I also have this shade Ruby from AVH, and honestly, I barely touched this because I don't like this formula. This is probably a sign that I should declutter, but I haven't. I tried to give it away to my sister, but she said no. So I'm working on it. And the last product is this palette from Los Angeles, which is Cat's Pajamas, which she actually just announced a little while ago that it is discontinued officially. But it's a great palette. I actually have two beautiful pans. I still love this palette. I know a lot of people gave her shit because of the packaging, and I'll agree. The packaging's a little bit like everywhere. Regardless, the formula's great. I really like this palette. But all of those are my oldest items, and I can't tell you for sure what is and what isn't because I don't know. It's just that simple. I just don't know. All right. What is your most recent makeup purchase? And I recently repurchased the Pretty Fresh Colourpop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Acid Setting Spray and Primer. I literally just opened this one this morning, and I was running out of my old one, so I needed to repurchase them. So these are my two newest. Nothing interesting there. What is the first makeup product you ever used? Now, I don't know for sure which exact item it was, but I have a pretty, like I don't know which brand, and like a lot of people was like, the Infallible Foundation from L'Oreal. Like, I don't know. But I do know it was a concealer and a powder. And it was like a powder kind of like foundation, or not powder foundation, but like it was like a pigmented powder. And that's because before getting into makeup in high school, the only thing I would use was a little bit of like powder, like to like put it under my eyes because my dark circles were always so defined. And then as I started getting a little bit better, I started actually wearing concealer. But that is the oldest makeup because that's all I wore all throughout high school. Like, I didn't wear really any makeup throughout high school. And in college I got a little bit more into it, but it was some sort of concealer powder and like an actual concealer. That's as far as I know. Like, I don't know the actual details. Okay, number 4. What is a makeup trend that you used to love but now you hate? And I feel like hate is a strong word, but I do know that I used to really like blinding highlighters, and then I realized it makes you look crazy stupid. And that's an exaggeration. And if that's what you like, that's what you like. But I just feel like more natural highlighters are a little better, something not too intense. And I purposely go out of my way to make sure that my highlighters are not too blinding. And what I mean by that is that I put my highlighter before my blush. So when I put my blush, it kind of like tones it down a little bit. And also what I do with that is that I put my setting spray after my highlighter, because what I do is then I grab my blending sponge and I tap it out, so also to tone it down a little bit. I just don't like it to be so in your face. I like it just a little bit more toned, so it looks a little more natural. So it's highlighter, and like I said, I still like highlighter. I just don't like blinding highlighters anymore. It's just not my aesthetic. And I just also with like my skin tone, I feel like it really is noticeable if something is not the right shade. So I just feel like tone down is just a little bit better for me. All right, the opposite of that, what is a makeup tone that you used to hate but now you love? And that's number 5. And I, again, hate's a strong word, but I would say bronzer. I never understood bronzer. I did not like bronzer. I had a couple of bronzers that I used just to try to get it, like, it didn't look bad, but I never liked bronzer. And it wasn't until I tried the Milk Makeup bronzer stick and this Milani bronzer that I finally got to like really appreciate a bronzer. And that's because I feel like this is more like a bronzer kind of like contour thing. And I honestly, and I know this sounds crazy, but I actually think that contouring looks more natural than bronzing, because I don't know why. I just feel like that looks a little more natural. It's not as crazy. It's not as outstanding. You don't have as many shades. And again, I don't know. This is completely 100% all in my head, and I don't have anything to back it up. I just, in my head, I feel like contouring looks a bit more natural than bronzer because it's not as intense. It's a bit more subtle. And I personally like to do like a bronzer and contour kind of thing where it's like, it's just not as impactful, but I like it better. I feel like it looks more natural. And so bronze is what I'm going for that one. Let's see here. Number 6. What is your favorite step in your makeup routine? And that is 100% eyeshadow. That is the one category in my makeup collection that's gotten completely out of control. And so long as everything else is manageable and I'm getting good use out of my eyeshadows, I'm just gonna be okay with that. But eyeshadow, 100%. I spend so much time on eyeshadow every morning, and everything else, I don't take nearly as long. But I can seriously spend like 40 minutes in my eyeshadow every morning and spend like 20 in everything else. I don't understand. Like, I seriously do not understand. But number 7, what is the makeup product you can't live without? 100% concealer. That's honestly what got me into makeup, and it's my under eyes. My under eyes are so defined and they're so dark that I have to wear concealer. Like, even if I don't wear any makeup, I'm being blessed. I have really good skin, and let's hope that I keep having good skin. But my under eyes, again, are so defined. This is the one thing on my face that I'm actually somewhat insecure about. I mean, I still will go out without makeup because I'm like, whatever. But concealer, I can't live without concealer. I think that makes the biggest difference in my makeup routine. Completely changes my face because my dark circles are then not as profound or as defined. Okay. What sparked your love for makeup? This has to be a combination between my friend Kelsey from college and Lara Lee. My friend Kelsey used to be really into makeup. In fact, she's the one that took me, and there's another question that's gonna bring this up a little bit more, but she took me into Sephora to like get like a really nice concealer because I didn't really have anything nice. I like a nice like color corrector and stuff like that, and she's the one that got me into watching like makeup videos. And once I started watching makeup videos, I found Lara Lee, and she really sparked my interest, and she like really showed you how to use the products and like how to and things like that, and I really appreciated that. So it has to be a combination between the two. So there's that. Okay, what is the worst makeup look you've ever done? Now, I don't have a specific makeup look that I can think of, but I know I've done this a couple of times on my channel, so you can like look back. But I've done a couple of like all blue smoky eyes, and I just never learned my lesson. They just don't look good on me. Like, that is not, like, it just because my undertones are like olive, so it's like a greenish yellow, and blue. They just don't look good on me. Like, I don't know how to say it. They don't look good on me, or I'm doing it wrong. Yeah. I've done a couple throughout, like, if you go through my makeup videos, you can find that. Like, it just does not look good on me. Okay, oh, made a mess here. Okay. What is your favorite makeup look you've ever done? I've done a lot of really good makeup looks. I can't say like I have a specific one, but I'm just gonna say color schemes. There's certain color schemes that I really like, and that's like green and yellow color schemes. There's something about those earthy tones, probably because like I said, I have an olive undertone, so I feel like yellows and greens really make me look good on my skin tone. Plus, because I have brown eyes, I feel like it makes my eyes pop. Recently, I've gotten into like plums a little bit. I feel like plums really, again, make my brown eyes stick a little more. Like they pop, not stick, but pop a little bit more. So I've really been enjoying that. Something else that I've really been enjoying is like all matte eyes. That's why I always say I prefer mattes over shimmers. I like doing a lot of like all matte looks. In fact, yesterday I did an all matte look. I was really happy with that. But yes, that's what I'm going for that question number 10. For 11, what is your favorite drugstore makeup product? And I decided to go with Essence mascaras. Essence mascaras are really good for their price. They don't give me any problems. Like I'm using currently this like expensive Milk mascara, which is more of a high-end mascara, and I'm having so many issues with it. It's like smudging under my eyelashes. It doesn't lift my eyelashes as much as I would like to, and it's, I know full price that's like $20 or something like that, and these are $5. And in fact, I actually got these for buy one get one half off, so I got them for about $3 each. Literally a fraction of the price, and they're still better than that expensive mascara. So Essence mascaras, that's just where it's at. That's where it's at. All right, what is your favorite splurge makeup product? Again, eyeshadow. It's the products where I know I have overfilled, like I have an overflow in my collection of eyeshadows and I don't need any more, but I still buy them. And if I'm gonna spend extra money on something, like if I'm gonna buy something that's more luxury, that's usually where I would spend it. I would spend $40 up to, I've been tempted to buy some of the Natasha and Denona palettes, so up to $65 I've been willing to spend. I haven't bite the bullet yet, but I've been willing to for eyeshadow. I don't know that I would for anything else. The only other product that I think of that I would splurge the money on is the Becca highlighter in Opal, specifically in the shade Opal, because my favorite highlighter. Now, I actually just found out that Becca is actually closing in September of this year, so I'm gonna buy a backup of this highlighter because I don't know that I can live without it. And it's a full size, it's a pretty big highlighter actually, but I can't not live without this highlighter. So those are the only two products I can think of at this time. Number 13, what is your most repurchased makeup product? Okay, 100% concealer. I go through these motherfuckers. Excuse my language, but like I go through these motherfuckers. I had, I think, like 4 or 5 concealers emptied from last year. I'm expected to have a similar number. This concealer right here has lasted me a little bit longer than most, and that's because it has a little more product. This is 0.30, this one is 0.176, I think. Yeah, 0.176. So it has more product than most, but still I go through concealer. I do the big triangle thing that a lot of people are like, you shouldn't be doing that. But that's because the triangle fits the shape of my dark circles. Like, I don't think people understand, like, I understand why a lot of people put it like right here and then just in the front, and that makes sense if that's where you have darkness, but I literally have like a bag under my eyes, like a U shape that goes all, like, I have to explain to you, it goes all along right here, and it's very defined. Even with color correcting and concealer, you can still see it peeking through. That's how defined it is. So I use a lot of concealer because I have a lot to cover up, and I want to make sure that it blends to my foundation. Like, if I didn't have all of that, I probably wouldn't go through it as much, but because I do, I go through concealers like crazy. It's just one of those areas for me. And again, it's not for everybody, but for me specifically, from what I've got going on, I just have to. All right, what is your earliest makeup memory? As I mentioned before, it was buying like color corrector and those concealers. That's like my first like memory that I have of going into like Sephora to like purchase something for myself. Like, I would go to Sephora before, or like Ulta and things like that, to like buy things and gifts for my friends, but for me, I never did. So when my friend Kelsey took me to buy myself like a nice concealer and a nice color corrector, I got the Color Effects one. I got the orange one at that time. This is the peach one. That is my earliest like makeup memory that I have, even though I knew before that I used some sort of concealer and or powder. I just don't quite remember it. I just knew I had them, but I don't remember them. So this to me is like my earliest like makeup purchase that transitioned into what my makeup collection is now, which is going to the Sephora, my friend Kelsey, and getting one of like the Sephora specialists to like, or like salespeople to like come with me and find a concealer match my skin tone and a color corrector that helped me actually color correct my dark circles. So yes. All right. Number 15. What is your favorite place to shop for makeup? 100% Ulta. I like that I can go from drugstore to like more high-end, and I also really like their cruelty-free selection. I feel like they have some really good cruelty-free drugstore and high-end product like brands that I really appreciate. So I can go from like APH and Urban Decay. They have Bare Minerals. They have Pure. They have a good high-end selection. And then I go to the drugstore side and they have Essence, Colourpop. They have, I can't think, they have Juvia's Place. They have BH Cosmetics. So they have, I feel like they have a good selection of cruelty-free brands from both drugstore and high-end. And also, we all know their point system is really good. So I personally enjoy going to Ulta most of all. And if I can buy something at Ulta, I will. And I always get gift cards for Ulta, mostly for my boyfriend's family, because like they don't know what to get me for presents. So for example, his grandma got me a gift card to Ulta, his brother got me a gift card to Ulta, and my boyfriend's other brother got me a gift card to Sephora. So they just don't know what else to get me, and I'm like, I would much rather get a gift card to Ulta than anywhere else. So yes, Ulta, 100%. What is the most underrated makeup product you own? And I'm gonna go with the e.l.f. HD powder. I hear a lot of people on YouTube talk about how they have really dry skin, and I'm like, why are you not using the e.l.f. HD powder? Like, what are you doing? And a lot of people that says like, oh, I barely use powder. I'm like, yes, e.l.f. HD powder. That's where it's at. What do you mean? What do you mean? I think this is really good. Again, if you have oily skin, this is not the product for you. I've said this before. I've raved and raved about this product. If you have oily skin, this is not going to do nothing. Absolutely nothing. If you're looking for longevity, this may or may not do nothing for you. I don't have a longevity problem. And that's because my skin is literally so dry that my foundation, it's not moving because my skin is absorbing everything. And it's so tight in my skin. Even if and I do a really hydrating like skincare routine, like morning routine with hyaluronic acid, really creamy moisturizers, hydration boosters, and sunscreens, and a hydrating primer, and still about halfway through the day I feel my skin get tighter because my skin is so tight. The reason why I didn't wear a lot of makeup when I was in high school was because my skin was so dry, and I knew that somewhere along the day I was going to pull out my moisturizer in the middle of the day and I needed to reapply. That's how dry my skin is. And so now that I wear makeup and now that I know more, what I do is I have a mini of this in my purse or my backpack. I take a backpack to work and I pull it out when like halfway through the day and I just spritz a little bit. I'm like, to rehydrate my skin. My skin is so dry. Nothing is moving. Believe me, nothing's moving. My skin does not allow it to move. So this powder right here is super nice. I put it only underneath my eyes, and then whatever excess I have, I'll quickly pat it anywhere else just to kind of, you know, make it like settle down a little bit. Honestly, I don't need to, but because I'm like, I don't want to waste that excess, so I just kind of pat it, but I really don't need to. And I feel like this powder is light enough where even if I do that, it's not overwhelming. It's not gonna dry my skin. It's not gonna look cakey. It has some really nice blurring properties. So yeah, this is the most underrated product in my makeup collection. If you have dry skin, though, if you have dry skin, this is the best powder I've had. Ooh, okay, there you go. I think the next one's the opposite of that. Yeah, what is the most overrated makeup product you own? And that is by far, I know if you've been here, you probably think I'm gonna say the Identity palette from Persona Cosmetics, but I'm not. I'm actually gonna say the Sweet Talk from Colourpop. The reason I bought this palette is because I didn't buy it right away, by the way. Keep that in mind. I waited till reviews were out. In fact, I waited until the 2018, was it 2018 or was it 2019? No, 2019. I waited until the 2019 like year-end favorites where everybody was saying how they were raving this palette. This was in almost everyone's like favorite, the year-long favorite videos. And I was like, man, all these people are loving this palette. I do like the color scheme. I think those colors are really pretty, and that is something that I lean for. So let me just get it. I mean, obviously everyone buys it, and then I got it, and I'm like, what the fuck are they talking about? Again, I'm sorry. It's not about palette, and excuse my language. I don't know what it is today, but I'm just cussing a lot today. I'm feeling all kinds of ways. But these two shades are way too similar. And I don't think it's that noticeable on like the thing. Like when you look at it, it doesn't look that noticeable, but these two shades are extremely similar. And I didn't really think too much about the glitters, because this is the first palette I bought that had the glitters on it. And I didn't really think too much about it at the time. And then once I got them and I started thinking about them, like, am I actually gonna put this in my eyes? I'm like, no, you're not, because they're not eye safe. They're way too chunky to be eye safe, and I already have enough issues with things getting in my eye as it is. I have a lot of eyelashes that go in there. My dog's hairs, my husky, I have a husky baby girl named Athena, and her hair is getting in my eyes and they bother me a lot. My eyes already get irritated from things going into it as it is. So it's like, no, I'm not gonna put a glitter that is not good for you. Like, no, why am I doing, like, I'm not gonna do that. Like, so this whole row for me ended up being like non-usable. I mean, that's not true. I can use those two shades, but like, I'm like, this entire row I'm like super disappointed by, which I'm like, this is so overrated, because it's not. And the only person I know that has a similar view to this palette as I do is Chiquik. I'll leave her down below. She's amazing. Check her out. She just does a lot of really great content. But she's the only one that I know that like feels the same way about this palette as I do, that I can think of. Like, but if you know somebody else, please let me know. I will say there's amazing things about it. I love that they have this little super shock shadow. I love these two shades right here. The like yellowy mustardy tones. They're so nice. I have nothing less this West Side. West Side right here is super unique to me, and I really like it. But yeah, overrated. Okay, sorry, I went on a little tangent. I'm having a really hard time with since I got it an official camera, like I have a really hard time like knowing what I'm looking at. So if you're here still by now, can you answer a question for me in like the comments down below? Does it look like I'm not looking at the camera when I'm talking? Like, just let me know what you think. I'm like trying my best to look at the camera, but I feel like I'm not always looking at it or in towards that direction. So let me know what you think. Like, does it look weird? Like, does it look like I'm like looking crazy like all kinds of places? Let me know. What is a discontinued makeup product you wish would come back? So I am picking the shade Siren. I don't know why I didn't take this one out ahead of time. And there it is. Now this shade came in a collab from Colourpop. And it was a duo, Mermaid Glow with Eva Katowski. I have no idea who she is, but when this collection dropped, this was the only thing that interested me. And it came in a duo with a highlighter that I actually do still own, that is somewhere over there, but I depotted it, and the shade Siren right here, which I actually finished. And it's this beautiful, like pinky, but it was pink, but it wasn't like baby pink, but it was soft like a baby pink, and it was subtle but very nice and buildable and looked nice, and it had like a nice natural glow to it. I don't know how to explain it, but it was a beautiful shade, and I wish they would make it like a permanent shade from their collection, but it's not. And I've looked up in their website multiple times and it's not. It was only sold in this duo, and this duo has been discontinued long ago. So that blush, I wish Colourpop would bring it back so badly. It was like perfect every day. It was like neutral, but it was like a soft pink. I don't know how to describe it. It was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Where do you go for makeup inspiration? And I would say I go to YouTube. Something that I do, and I do very often, is that I like to search like eye look tutorials with palettes that I own. So I'm currently have the So Jaded, the Kathleen Lights X Colourpop palette, the Double Entendre from Colourpop, and I have the Jackie Aina ABH palette in my eyeshadow obsession slash using my eyeshadow palettes project can that was created by Chicky. Again, I'm gonna leave it down below. But I have all of those shadow palettes in that project pan right now. So what I do at night before I go to sleep is I will look up at least one palette every night on the search bar, and I would just put Colourpop So Jaded palette, and I would just look them up, and then I'd watch random like tutorials here and there. I specifically want to recommend the creators, Angela Bright. All she does in her channel, well, not all everything, but like 90% of her content is her doing like tutorials, and she doesn't use like only new palettes. I mean, she does, but she also does a lot of older ones. She's done like 7 or 8 videos with the So Jaded palette. She's done a couple of videos with the Jaclyn Hill original palette. She's on 1 to 1, and so she does a lot of like older palettes as well as new ones, and I really appreciate that, because a lot of times I'm just looking for inspiration. So I just want to say Angela Bright's one of them, and the other one I want to say is Judy C. I think she dropped the C now and it's just Judy on YouTube. But Judy, I started watching her because she had this series that goes through, she reviews every Colourpop collection. She gets their PR now, and I remember when she did it, she used to not get it. But every time she gets like a palette, she will do a 3 looks 1 palette, which individual palettes. And if you know my collection, I have a lot of Colourpop, so a lot of times I like to go into my palettes and like I want to get inspiration or whatever, and I want to look them up, or if I already own a palette or whatever, I'll go to her channel and I look for that specific palette because I know she's gonna have a good look. And I mentioned yesterday I did like an all matte look, and with the Double Entendre palette. In fact, I recreated one of her tutorials on the Double Entendre palette, which I really enjoyed. It was an all matte brown smoky eye, and it was beautiful. But I go to YouTube. I feel like there's a lot of really creative YouTubers out there, and those are the 2 that I can think of that do a lot of tutorials in their content. Like Angela Bright is like 90% all tutorials. Judy has a little bit more diversity, but she does a heavy amount of tutorials. And even if she's doing a tutorial, like a 3 looks 1 palette with a palette that I don't know, but what I like to do is I like to look at those still, because maybe there's a look that I really like. I do try and recreate them with my own eyeshadows. And something that she does when she does reviews is she gives you comparisons of like color stories in palettes, like palettes that have similar color stories, and she also does like actual swatches of those shades. So if there's a shade that really catches my attention, for example, there was one a little while ago, I can't remember the name of the palette, but there was this one shade that really caught my eye, but in the comparison she said, oh, it's a really good comparison, actually I'll have it right here, to the shade Tiger Eye from Colourpop. I'm like, oh my god, yes it is, and that's the shade that caught my attention from the entire palette. So I went and I ended up doing an entire look based on this Tiger Eye shade right here. So yeah, Judy, she has a lot of eyeshadow and tutorial content. I would say about, not as much as Angela, but about 70% of her content is still eyeshadow content. So I just want to mention them too specifically. But there's a lot of obviously very talented creators on YouTube. I'm just saying, the YouTube search bar, you'll be surprised how many good stuff are in there. Okay, so I was almost done with this video and my camera cut off. I don't know why. I think probably because I went too long, which means I probably gotta cut some pieces out. But that's the problem for editing me, not my right now me. So I think I was in the second to last question, which is question 20. What do you hope to see less of in makeup future? So I'm just gonna go re-answer that question. Something that I would like to see less of is less like hate in the comments. I don't know what it is. Like, I think we're just expecting perfection from some of our influencers. Oh, sorry guys, I'm just gonna move that a little bit. Okay, I feel like we're just expecting perfection from some of our influencers, and that's not realistic. I'm just saying, and I don't know, I feel like in kindergarten I learned If you have nothing nice to say, don't say it at all. Like, you choose what you want to watch. If you don't like what they're doing, unsubscribe, don't watch, move on. There's no need to be like hating and trolling. It's just, yeah, not a good look. And let's just move on. What do you see more of in Makeup's future? I want to see more collabs with smaller influencers. I think Samantha Marsh did a really great job with Ofra. And so it did like Jen Loves Reviews. I also want to see like this little collab that is from Doll 10 and Makeup Molly. I didn't even know who Makeup Molly was, but everybody was talking about how good this set was. I ended up buying 3 of them. 3 of the sets, and then I ended up subscribing to her because these were so good. So yeah, these, the Kaleidos collab, that's amazing with Angelica? I'm not actually subscribed to her, but I hear about it. I'm like, I'm just so happy that there's a smaller influencer that is able to do this. So I just want to see more like smaller influencers getting their chance to shine, you know? And yeah, I of course, more inclusivity. I think it's really good when we're able to see like a really nice range of spectrum. Because I know I personally, like, I don't have a hard skin tone to find, but it's hard to find like the right undertone. So I can't even imagine like how other people that have darker skin tones can feel. So I would like for all of us to be able to be included. So, you know, that's it. That's all I gotta say. Obviously this video is way too long, so let's cut it off here. Please do not forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.